Hi guys. Um, I'm sorry, Google has changed things a little bit and the icons and things are different, so my apologies. Also my apologies for the hair and stuff, but I'm off today, and if I don't get it made today, I may not get this video made. Apologies for the swollen lip. That's why the hair looks like it does. Have a doctor's appointment later. Another story altogether. Anyway, what I wanted to do is to show you the books that I picked up for February and go over some of the books that I have read in January and give you very brief reviews. If you want a specific review on any of them, just, let me know. But none of them were so good, I think, that they warrant a separate review of their own. So I'm just going to go through them really quickly. Grave Mercy, I'm stopping right there. It's just awful. I can't even finish it. I am on chapter 8. I'm 73 pages in, and I'm done. Hate it. Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea, I think I talked about this in the last video. It was okay. If you find it on sale, pick it up. Certainly not the worst thing I've ever read. I actually made it all the way through the book, so take that for what it's worth. Grave Mercy, they're both paranormals, except Grave Mercy, I don't know what's going on, and it's really dark, and I don't even like the main character. Anyway, Between the Devil and the Deep Blue Sea is a paranormal, but not in the way you expect it. And there is, in the end, there turns out to be a really strange scene that really didn't fit with the rest of the book, and so that kind of wrecked that for me. Possessed, another paranormal. This wasn't bad, and this is the one I was complaining about. Oh, it had a mark, and so it must have been in Amazon's bargain bin. Well, it might have been, but what I found out later is that it's also a signed copy by the author, who is Gretchen McNeil. And I just laughed. I thought that was so funny after I'd been all crappy about, must have been in their bargain bin. It says Vade Retro Satana, which means go back Satan or step back Satan. It relates directly to this novel. The girl, as it turns out, she can exorcise demons. So yeah, this one wasn't bad. It really wasn't. And I think I paid like $7 something for it. So for $7 something, it was worth that, I guess. Berserk by Michael Grant. This one came fairly highly recommended from a couple of booktubers, and this is just whack. The premise of it sounded really interesting, about using nanobots and biots and different things to control humans and achieve ends, and that's what it was, but it was strange and darker than I anticipated. There's a sequel, and I won't be picking it up. I did make it all the way through this book. I did skip over parts of a couple chapters because it got kind of bogged down for me, but I'm really disappointed in this book, really disappointed, because I think it had the capacity to be really good and just was incredibly disappointed. Beautiful Creatures, I am right here. This book is twice as long as it needs to be. The story in it is not bad, but there's a lot of fluff that does not need to be in this book. And like I said, the book could be half this big, and it would have helped it a lot. I was 180 pages in before the story even made any sense. And now I'm on chapter, I don't know, they're weird. It's page 438, and I'm really tempted to just stop reading. I suspect that it's going to be one of those ones that goes an entire book and then is resolved in the last chapter or two, and I hate that. You have a book of, got 1,000,000 pages. I don't know how many pages is even in this. I think there's parts to the next book. 500 and some odd, I think. Great, now there are no page numbers toward the back. I'm sorry, 563 pages. 563 pages. And I'm presuming that it's going to resolve in the last couple. And then there's a scene in here that's very reminiscent of a Carrie scene at a winter formal. And, I don't want to give you spoilers, but really, was that necessary? This, again, had the capacity to be so good. And it was just filled with it's almost like they couldn't pick one track and go with it. And so they just stuffed a bunch of crap in and hoped that it made a story. I won't be picking up the sequel to this. There are 4, and I can't even imagine, if that one's that long, how much more fluff you have to wade through to get to the story. Wasn't happy. Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. This book! Oh, the first half of it was fantastic. then when you get, first of all, I don't like insta love, and I don't like those loves where it's like Twilight kind of, oh, you know, we must have loved each other in a past life, and that's why we are in love now. Because, oh, gag. Yeah, the second half was just, ugh. Oh, I was so upset, and there were pages, y'all, that I was like, yeah, okay, okay, all right, that I didn't even read. I've heard that the sequel gets better, Days of Blood and Starlight. So I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna try it because hopefully it gets better. And there's one character in here that is part of her family that I'm really interested in finding out what happens. It hints at what happens to him in this book, but I'm not sure that's what's going to turn out happening in the sequel. So this one I'm actually going to pick up the sequel to, despite the fact that I hated this book, because I've heard from several different people that while they weren't super fond of Smoke and Bone, the second book is much, much better and much different, and there's not as much of the stupid romance in it. And it's not that I'm opposed to romance, because I'm not. I don't like insta-love, and I don't like those, you know, I knew you 25 lifetimes ago, and I have always loved you, and so I must have found you in this lifetime because I have always loved you. Oh, barf. Find another mechanic to make your book good. Good grief. Anyway, so I'm very frustrated with this, but I am going to pick up the second one, and hopefully it gets better. And if it doesn't, I'm going to package them both up and mail them to the author and just tell her to use it for Firestarter, I guess. Anyway, February, I have higher hopes. I'm going to buddy read Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I'm probably just going to load that, though, on my Nook, because the only one I can find is a mass market. And very thick mass market books tend to have very tiny writing, and then you try to open them and you end up breaking the spine because the writing goes way up against the spine of the book, and I'm not fond of mass market paperbacks anyway, but particularly when they're very thick books. So I'll probably just load it on my Nook. So that's one of the books. At the beginning of this month, I read the first edition of this X-Clamp. It's a 3-in-1 omnibus volume, and I loved it. So I went ahead and picked up the second Clamp. And if you're not familiar with Clamp artwork, it is stunning. And anything by Clamp just has very clean, very just stunning artwork. You can see all the cells are very clean. Things don't explode outside the cells. Even when the scenes are chaotic, things don't tend to explode outside their cells. It's very neat. I'm hoping I'm using cells the right way here. You know, I'm not a manga specialist, but the story was also really good too. But Clamp is just stunning. Their stuff is stunning, and they look beautiful on the shelf, of course, which, you know, is not my first priority. But anyway, so I picked that up yesterday. I had to go to Albuquerque, and I picked up a couple others. Perfect Ruin by Lauren DeStefano. I'm hoping that's good. It's a dystopian, sort of. It's got a gorgeous cover, and the book inside is, not that that matters, it's kind of a bonus. I don't know if you can see that. It's metallic. And then even inside the book, I was noticing yesterday, beginnings of chapters and stuff. And this is something that I appreciate when publishers, and I don't know how much the author has input about how the book looks when it's finally published, but this is just something that I appreciate, this kind of attention to detail in a book. You know, books aren't cheap, particularly when you buy them in hardcover, and then, you know, hard copies when you're not purchasing ebooks. They're not cheap, and it's nice to get a little bit of extra like that. The end papers are stars. Very nice. So, you know, I have high hopes that the book is not just fluffy and pretty on the outside. Breathe by Sarah Crossan, another dystopian. I've just really been in the mood for either, and I don't mean dark point. I like dystopians and I like sci-fi and fantasy. I don't like hopeless dystopians. So I don't like it when you know that there's not going to be any hope. It's never going to get better. I like it when there's some hope that the characters are going to make it, come out the other side, or the world's going to get better in some way. So I'm hoping what I've purchased isn't just hopeless dystopians. But I've been in the mood for one or the other, extremely lighthearted or just kind of dystopian. The Diviners Libba Bray, this is not exactly dystopian, it's more of a paranormal, I think. It's an enormous book, but I have high hopes. I heard it was fantastic. I did start, if you watch my other video, I did start Beauty Queens, but I haven't gotten very far into it, and I wanted to finish some other stuff up. I got 3 chapters into it, and so far it's really good. So that's the other Live a Bray that I have, and hopefully both of those are really good, especially after the disaster I've had with the last few books that I've read and been trying to read. I also read Etiquette and Espionage. That was pretty good by Gail Carriger. And so because of that, I went ahead and got the Parasol Protectorate box set by Gail Carriger to read for this month. And these, if you're not aware, are just a very light, absurd, but they know that they're absurd, so it's okay, steampunk, Victorian, paranormal. So it doesn't fit in exactly one category, but all of those, I've heard really good things about them, that despite how absurd and fluffy they are, they're absolutely fantastic. And so I went ahead and just bought the whole box set based on things I'd heard. And then I enjoyed Etiquette and Espionage. You know, it certainly wasn't the best book I ever read, but I got through it. It was good. I'm looking forward to the sequel to that one. So anyway, that's what's on the deck for February. I've read, I think, 6 books in January, so I'm several ahead of my goal. And I knew that that was possible, and I've been sort of in a reading spurt, but you have to account during the year or two for times when you're going through a reading spurt or times when you're going through more of a reading lull. So I'm not going to worry myself about it, and if I exceed the goal, hey, great, whatever. I just noticed that up here you can see this calendar that my friend Lori sent me. It was Men in Kilts. So no, I don't have porn hanging about. It was a calendar that a friend of mine sent me, Men in Kilts, because there's not much sexier than a man in a kilt unless he's also cleaning the toilet. So anyway, that's what that is, and my apologies. Next time I'll angle the computer better, so, or maybe not. Maybe you prefer it that way. At any rate, that's what's going on with the new books. If any of those books you'd like to ask more questions about, or you would like to hear a longer review, I'm working on a review format so that when I do reviews, they all make sense and it's not just a ramble of... I think that if you don't have a list of the topics that you want to talk about, sometimes it turns into just a rambling rant, and I don't always want to do those. And so, like I said, if there's anything you want to know a little bit more about, either message me or whatever, send me requests. Otherwise, that's it for now. I'll probably do like a wrap-up in January and then a beginning in February, and just, you know, kind of do these update videos about, hey, I read this, they were okay, they weren't, whatever. And if that format continues to work, then that's what I'll keep up with. At any rate, I hope everybody's well, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.